You know, Eric, this is, I think, the fifth team you've played twice, but it's kind of weird because you played them first, now you're playing them last. I mean, some of those Missouri and Tennessee games were a couple weeks apart. This one's like 2 months apart. What's it like playing a team 2 months apart, and how different do you think A&M is, and how different are you guys?
Yeah, I think both teams are different for sure, Bob, than the first time we played each other. But, you know, I talked about the, you know, adjustments and stuff that you want to try to make. And, you know, in all 4 games that we've played thus far, we played much better in game 2 than we did game 1. I think we're 3-1 in those games. And you look at the LSU, the Tennessee, the Missouri, you know, and even the Mississippi State game that we lost on a last-second, you know, tip-in. You know, I think anytime you play a series, you hope to try to improve. And we've certainly watched the film numerous times from the last A&M game. I do think they're more confident. I think Coach Williams has done an incredible job this year. But their confidence level is much different than when we played them earlier in the year. But I also think that we're a confident team as well. You know, and now you're playing a game on their floor instead of your home floor, so that certainly changes the complexion of the game as well.
I guess last night with the foul trouble where LSU's the one in foul trouble, was it rebounding? Has that made the difference as far as how the fouls turned around for y'all?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, Nate, whoever's the most physical team, you know, is the team that, you know, the whistles, you know, for whatever reason, we were physical, you know, defending, we were physical rebounding, you know, but I think that helps you when you're moving, you know, one step ahead of somebody else at times. And but certainly going into the game, we felt like we had to be the aggressor with the way that we lost the Battle of the Boards in Baton Rouge. So, you know, that was part of the game plan. That was something that we talked about over and over.
Hey, Coach, I think over the last 3 games, we've kind of seen Jimmy's assist numbers spike. I think he's got 14 or 15. What do you kind of credit that to or attribute that to?
Yeah, just pace of play with Jimmy. I think, you know, I thought, you know, last night he was not just aggressive finding teammates. He was aggressive scoring the ball. I just thought he had an aggressive mindset, the way he attacked the defensive backboards, so on and so forth. So his advanced passes were as good as it's been all year. But I think if we had a stopwatch and we kind of took from the moment he got the ball until he got it across half court, last game was the quickest that we've had all year with him advancing the ball either off the bounce, off the dribble, or off the kick-ahead pass.
You know, I'm not smart enough to know all the math and with the tiebreakers for the tournament.
You and I both, Bob.
But I do know if I don't have all the people like Riley, you know, to help me with the math and stuff like you do.
Riley's not the one helping us, I can tell you that.
Okay, well, but I do know if you guys win, you definitely get a first-round bye. I mean, it's hard, obviously, to win the tournament in 4 days, but it's, you know, really hard to do it in 5. How big is it to get that first-round bye?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just, I mean, we got this game Saturday, you know, and it's just focus on that. And I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. They have a whiteboard up in one of our offices, and they got all the scenarios, and I spent all of about 3 seconds in there because I just want our team to prepare as best we possibly can to beat Texas A&M. That's it. And wherever the standings end up, like we had no control over Isaiah getting hurt for 5 games, and it is what it is. Like you go play this game and you see what happens, and then, you know, if you got to play 5 games, if you got to play 4 games, but you can't get to a 4th or a 5th game unless you win 1. And, you know, look, the conference tournaments have already started. There's already been upsets. You know, obviously I watched the Mountain West. They've had 2 games yesterday, and you could consider both those games upsets. I mean, Air Force wins and Wyoming wins, and so that's what happens in these things. Like wild things happen. They're 1 game on neutral court. We don't have to worry about that till Sunday. I mean, right now we got to figure out how are we going to stop Nebo inside, and you know, those are the type of things that we got to worry about.
Coach, how did you feel like the guys did against the press last night, and how much have you guys been working on that?
Yeah, you know, A&M's going to press too. We did a great job against A&M. A&M's press is an extended press across half court. I thought we would have handled the press more than fine if we wouldn't have missed 8 free throws all in a row. Because if you make 6 of those 8, that 9-point victory looks a little bit different. I didn't think, we had one really sloppy turnover, Nikki, that was brutal to watch. But the presses haven't bothered us all year, whether it's been Auburn's press, whether it's been Texas A&M's press. Last night we had the one with the lead, and we obviously had one against Western Kentucky as well. We actually had 2 against, but that was a long time ago. So, when you play with a lead that's somewhat substantial, and the other team's got nothing to lose, and they start frantically pressing, there's going to be a turnover here or there. So, but we'll add a different press break for the A&M game. We have 3 already in. We'll add a 4th to give us a completely different look. In case we need it, maybe we'll open with it against when they press on dead ball situations. Maybe we'll save it. I don't know. But, that kind of gets to this clock management thing. And when you're up, your job is to try to win the game. And we gave our guys freedom right around that 9-minute mark where we didn't slow it down. At Nevada, we killed the clock at about the 12-minute mark. We gave them freedom, and we missed 2 straight layups, and then we had the foul shot debacle. So at that point, then you really got to control the game. And so you start playing the percentages, and where did that philosophy or thought process come from? It came from being down 22 against Cincinnati, and they played right into our hands. They didn't milk the clock. They didn't kill the clock. We're down 22 with 10 minutes to go to get a berth into the Sweet 16, and we come back and win because they kept playing. They kept trying to do what they had been doing that got them success, which is running the ball. And we got some stops and came back and win that game. And then the year before that against New Mexico, down 25 points with 11 minutes to go. So we were on this other side where teams kept playing instead of having great shot clock management. And against New Mexico, quite frankly, if they would have dribbled the ball until the shot clock was about to expire and threw it out of bounds and never taken a shot attempt, they would have beaten us by 10. But they kept playing and had poor management of end-of-game clock stuff, and so that's where our philosophy kind of comes of you got to control the game and figure out a way to win. We haven't lost many games when we've had a comfortable lead.
As far as Nebo and Flag and really any other individuals that you see, what kind of problems they
Yeah, Flag's shooting the ball well, Nate. Probably shooting it better than he has in his entire career over this stretch. We all know that Coach Williams is going to throw the ball into Nebo. I mean, it's going inside to 32. We know it. Everybody in the league knows it, but he's a hard cover in there. And then Miller, number 5, does a great job of rebounding the ball. He's a good complement to Nebo. Gordon has improved as the season's gone along. Kind of came in as maybe a combo guard that they've played him extensively at that point guard position, and he's a scoring point guard who can make threes. He made 3 of them last night against Auburn. Mitchell does a good job, number 11, scoring the ball. Chandler, 0, can score the ball. But, Nebo and Flag are 2 centerpieces, and they both got good experience, too. It's not like they're younger players, those 2 guys. They have experience, and both those guys are really good basketball players.
Did you get a chance to watch the Auburn A&M game yet? And if so, what did A&M do to win that game? Just how impressive, because Auburn had been 17-0 at home. Nobody had beaten them, and A&M was the only team to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, being new to the league, the thing that's just amazing is every single night in this league. The night before, it was Vandy at Bama. Every single night, there's anybody can beat anybody, but for A&M to go into Auburn and knowing, with Auburn's size of their arena, with where their students set, that's a really difficult place to play. But you look at, Auburn, you take their last 7 games, you take LSU's last 7 games, like anything can happen in this league. Like those are 2 teams that have played great, and right now, those records of late, anything can happen. And getting back to the big lead thing, you saw the lead that Kentucky had, and all of a sudden, Tennessee on the road, so there's just wild things that happen.
Now that Desi's kind of consistently knocking down the 3 ball, has that kind of been the difference for him, opening things up?
Yeah, he loves coming off the bench. When I first took him out of the starting lineup, he wanted to get it back in the starting lineup immediately. Now he's kind of in a groove and likes where he's at. But yeah, he's been knocking down threes and coming off the bench and playing with great confidence. And sometimes when a guy, because we bring him in, we could go jump ball and I could send him down there right then too, so he could check in 5 seconds into as soon as the dead ball happens, because that's basically what we do. But he's playing with great confidence for sure.
How pivotal is it to get Henderson to take his game on the road that he's played here the last couple of games?
Yeah, what Ethan's done at home for 2 games has been, really, really, he's done a great job defensively. I thought he's done a great job hanging around the dunker spot. Guys are looking for him because obviously the defense is focused on Mason and focused on Isaiah. And then the next guy they kind of got to worry about is kind of Jimmy, because he's roaming around and gets to his sweet spot. And then you got to worry about Desi from 3. And so all of a sudden now, Ethan's a guy that if he can ghost people and get behind the defense and play little cat and mouse games to try to get to open spots around the rim, he's going to become more effective as a scorer, which he was last night. He drew 9 free throws attempted, which is a large number for a player that we never call a play for, to go to the foul line 9 times, and that's because of his activity. Now we just need him to convert a higher rate from the foul line.
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious what it's been like for you, just kind of getting to know Adrio kind of behind the scenes from that standpoint since you've been here.
Yeah, Adrio's, he's kind of the personality of the team behind closed doors, and probably not just behind closed doors, probably, when he's walking around campus, and he's got a personality that kind of lightens up a room, and every team needs that. Like every team needs an energizer personality that even when you lose 2 or 3 in a row, comes in with the smile on his face. And so from a personality standpoint, and then obviously we've talked about how he's improved as a 3-point shooter, and I just looked over his last 10 games. We just want him to try to play with a little more consistency. He played really good in some games out of his last 10 game segment, and then he's last night didn't play much, and his last 3 games we got to get him back playing at a little bit higher level than the last 3 games.
Eric, with having the senior honor after the game, was that something you did in Nevada, or where'd you guys come up with that?
Yeah, we didn't do it at Nevada. All 4 years we did it before, but I think as we talked about it as a group, with a 6 o'clock start, I know, like even for me, I came out at 3 minutes before tip. And, it was probably less people than had been there all year at that juncture, because it's a work night. It's 6 o'clock, and then you look up after the first time out, and we have an incredible crowd. And it doesn't matter if you're playing here or Nevada or at UCLA or whatever, there's probably not going to be a good crowd early on. So if you move the senior celebration up 15 minutes before 6 o'clock, and now you're doing it the 5:40 mark or whatever, who's going to be there? And so you feel like you want those guys to feel good about it. And then I also know that, obviously Coach Neighbors did it, a few days before we did, and they did it after. And so it kind of all made sense to kind of partner up with what they had done as well.
How big a relief was it that you won, and so everybody was in a good mood, and guys aren't coming out there all
You
down,
said it, not me, Bob.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been good. It would have been hard for me to put a real smile on it. But it's an emotional night. It's I mean, you hug a guy and, you know, it's kind of his last time on that floor. It's you know, even though I've, you know, like Adriel, I mean, he's been here 4 years. I've only been here 9 months or whatever it is, but you still feel a really deep connection, and you hope to be a part. Obviously, we're a part of those guys' lives now, but you hope that, you know, 10, 15 years from now, you're still in contact and still an integral part of guys' lives like Jimmy and Adriel and all of them, really.
Could I ask? You know, A&M is 5-4 in the SEC on the road, and they're 4-4 at home. So at least right now they got a better road record than they do a home record. I mean, how do you feel about that? And maybe that's a good sign you're playing them there because they've been better on the road a little bit better.
I think the way we've played on the road the last couple games has not been good. You know, I thought we were really confident on the road early, you know, the Indiana game, the Georgia Tech game, Alabama. I mean, we've won some really, really, really big road games. We just got to get back to that feeling, you know, where we got to have that same identity we had last night from a toughness standpoint to win on the road. No more, Bob. You're shut off.